So, for the people who can't see you, who are you? And little bit of a 20-second salesman pitch.
Hi, I'm Reas. I'm the Kilted gardener. I've been gardening for nearly 10 years now. And there you go. I have my own channel called the Kilted Gardener if you're interested.
Yeah, that'll do. We'll use that as a selling point. So how is your season going? You said earlier in the pre-chat about enthusiasm's low.
It really
at this time of the year.
It's just me. I don't like this time of year. I was born in June, so, you know, I'm a summer baby, and I don't like this time of year. I find it very depressing, especially if the cloud is overcast and God knows whatever else. Today was the first day it actually felt really good.
So when does it pick up for you? As in
March.
So 1st of March? Or is
No,
it a specific thing where it's a nice day, or you can see the sky and you think, right, this is it? Or
just like today, a little bit mild, sun's out, birds are chirping, whatever, that type of thing.
Because
and I cut the grass today as well.
I noticed the lawn's been cut.
Yeah.
It does look really nice, actually.
The first lawn I've cut properly this year.
Yeah. Are you doing grass for your normal customers, or
what do you mean?
have you started grass for your customers?
Nope, not yet. Usually I start about mid-March, but it seems early. I don't know, it's a bit of a weird one. It's suddenly gone mild, and this is the first year we've had a lawn, so I've never really looked at and thought, oh, the grass is growing.
See, I've started my lawns, but they're sort of included in the maintenance.
Yeah.
But I've felt that February, it's not been too cold, especially in my parts. It's not been too cold, not been too wet. It's just been quite mild. So I found that there has been growth to do it. But I'm finding people's opinion when you say to them, I'm going to come and cut your lawn, it's like you're doing something naughty, if you get what I mean.
No, you just got to, I mean, I'll cut that quite short. You just got to cut high, ain't you, really? Set your mower high, but then you get those who say, you're cutting my lawn too high, I need it shorter with an inch of its life. But
do you think that they're valid, or do you think that's their way of saving money? Because in their eyes, the shorter it is.
I honestly think what it is, it's like older people, the older generation, or even the new generation. I think what it is, they go out and buy a domestic mower. They don't even know you can raise or lower it.
Yeah.
And it's set short. I've done it where I've used somebody's mower. I'm thinking, my God, this is cutting short. I think that's what it is.
I've seen that in my parts where the lawn is literally scalped and it looks terrible. And I put it down to that they actually don't want to do it in the first place. So get it as short as possible. It lasts longer, but it doesn't. It's just destroys the grass, and you're looking at horrible grass, but it'll still grow, and it'll still grow as quick.
Well, I don't know. I think sometimes if it's short, it won't grow. It'll grow as quick, but it won't grow long and thick. It just grows. Do you know what I mean?
It's just awful.
It's not a lawn.
No, it ends up turning into moss,
weeds and moss,
clover, and it just looks awful.
So,
it does, but
I'm not doing regular maintenance at the moment yet either.
Are you just bibbing and bobbing, or
just one-off jobs?
Do you take your regular customers that you've got throughout the year, like Mr. and Mrs. Jones or whatever you go to fortnightly? Do you carry any of them over at all for regular maintenance?
It depends if they want it.
Do you offer it and say?
Oh, yeah. It's like I've done a couple of jobs really for this one particular customer, and she says, do you cut lawns? And I said, yeah, I'll cut your lawn while I'm here. She said, how much would you charge to do it throughout the year? So I've gained that, and they've also asked me to do their, I think it's their mothers. But yeah, if I'm doing a one-off job and they ask, sometimes I'll suggest it. I'll say, we do regular maintenance. But more often than not, when I quote a job like that, I say, you'll have to wait until the end of the year because I'm too busy doing my lawns.
I've just seen your diary, so for the majority of your year, you're sort of pretty chocker, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I'm rammed.
Yeah. You said earlier on in the year you're trying not to do weekends. Is that something that's happening this year where you're you steadfast on it, or
Well,
is there a bit of give and take?
it all depends, because we don't have kids. So if there's a day where it's raining, or even just a bit of rain,
Yeah.
I will say to Sam, let's just have a day off today, and then we'll do the lawns at the weekend. But that's the only thing I will do. I won't book in a job, specifically a separate one for the weekend. No.
And Sam's your partner, not
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, but she also works with you, doesn't she?
Yeah. Well, she has her own work, but she helps me. The majority of her work is helping me. Yeah.
Yeah. How have you found it?
Fantastic. I tell you what, it's great working with her.
Yeah, I can imagine when it's hard, it must be hard. But I reckon that's few and far between for you two, because you gel well as a couple. I think if my missus was helping me, it'd great, you know, we'd end up with like murder at the end of the day or something. But she's not from that background. She, you know, but I could tell Sam, she wants to be there, and that sort of plays a big part into it, doesn't it?
You say she wants to be there. It's not something that she used to help me at the railway, and she hated it.
Yeah.
Really, really hated it. But I think what it was a case of she knew I needed the help. She hated her job.
Yeah.
And that's why it's.
So it's a necessary evil, but it's sort of more than that now, if you get what I mean. But I think it's good. I'm happy.
It is hard. It is hard working.
That's what
together sometimes, but it's mainly because I get frustrated, and I say to her, look, it doesn't matter whether it's you or me. I get frustrated, and because I get frustrated with her, but I also get frustrated with myself.
Yeah, mate, that's
so
something.
It's just running a business. I said,
it's funny you mentioned that, because as self-employed, everything's on us. And when I drop the ball, you know, or I double book, or forget to pick something, or fuel, you know, it's even worse. As you can't blame someone, like you can't blame Sam for, you know, because it's on you. And it's like me, I don't work with anyone other than Sam, aka myself. So, you know, it's even worse. So it is hard. I can see it, and I think
you get so angry with yourself sometimes. If, I don't know, you're running behind time, the weather's against you, and you
just go in your van for a scream.
Sometimes I've done that. More often than not, if I am on my own, I'll just get really annoyed with anything. But more often than not, it's somebody who's around me, and I have to bite my tongue if I'm around customers, and I'm getting annoyed and frustrated. But sometimes I'm just out in the garden, everything, and blinding and throwing stuff around because I'm just getting annoyed. And as I say to Samantha, I say, it's not you, it's just the job. Yeah,
and it's like, for me, I have it where you know, you got the job, it's hard, and then it starts raining, and it wasn't going to give rain because you checked a million times, and it's pouring down, and you've either bit off a little bit too much, or you've underestimated it in your own eyes, and then Mrs. Old such and such appears behind you, and it's, could you just, and that's when you have to just go, yes, I will. And then you go in the back of your van and just scream.
That is frustrating, because you do get it. Could you just? Could you just? Why are you here? And then you go to your next job. Why are you late?
I don't. How do you do with your timings? Do you tell people, I'll be there 2 o'clock at you to Mrs. such and such, or do you just say, like for me, I always call them Amazon delivery windows. So if a customer says to me, oh, what time will you be here? I can't give it an exact time, but I'll say to her, look, I'll be here between 9 and 12, or in the morning, or, you know, 12 till 2. I can't. And that's why I call it the Amazon delivery windows, because everywhere else in the whole world does delivery windows. But I can't be on time.
No, I can't. What I normally do is, if I'm quoting now, because I'm so far into my business, I've got such a regular customer flow, and I'm squeezing one customer within what I've already got. Normally what I say is, it's around about this time. Because if I go and quote a job and it's in an area where I'm already doing, because that's how I do it. If somebody rings up and says, right, can you quote for a lawn? I look at my diary and you think, right, I'm in that area on this day. I've got that slot free. So that's when I do that quote. And I say to the customer, it's going to be around about this time. I can't give you a precise time, but it's just
I did
rough.
my red flags video a bit back, and one of the things I didn't mention, but I think is a red flag, is people wanting exact times. It's not so much. I can understand why if there's a legitimate reason. So if they say to me, "Look, Sam, we've got this in the morning, we've got 2 grandkids to drop off. We need to leave the gate open for whatever reason, or a bloke lives on his own and the only access is through his garage." I can understand that, but I find 90% of the time they're in all day. The pensioners, they're retired, and I just think it's either to work in with them. So I can understand. I'm a creature of habit. If I want something done at a certain time, but I find often it's a bit more of a pointless exercise. So every podcast step I try and do similar sort of format, and I'm going to ask you, what got you into this industry? So I know a little bit of your background, where you've always been a doer. So you've always been a doer, and you've always done things, haven't you? You volunteered. What was it about the gardening industry that sort of pulled you into it?
I don't know. You see, when we sat outside my house at the moment, where I've moved into.
In a beautiful camper van.
In my
beautiful
family home. In a beautiful, is it?
It's lovely.
Yeah, so I'm sat outside there, and I've done the garden there for years, and I hated it. I really hated it. 9/11, where were you 9/11? I was digging around the pond, is what I was doing. So I know what I was doing, but I hated gardening. It was such a laborious, monotonous, pointless job.
Yeah.
But why do it? Well, it stemmed from the railway. If you've watched one of my first episodes on kilted gardening, you know how I started. Railway.
So I've been to the Battlefield Railway. That's where you was that where you did the gardening? That was your first sort.
It was bits of gardening, but mainly cutting some.
I remember the border.
Yeah.
So there was a side where the sort of boxes where all the flies were and the signals.
Yeah.
When I say flies, there's plagues on them.
Signal box.
Yeah, the signal box. There was that bank.
Yeah.
And that's what you cleared. Which,
it's basically what it was. It was clearance. I mean, they always say that if you're going to use a chainsaw, take lessons, and I didn't. I learnt on the railway. I have done these tickets and stuff like that now, but I learnt on the railway, and the reason is because if you don't know this, by the way, you can use a chainsaw domestically. You don't need any certificates. I would not recommend it.
You're taking it upon yourself.
Yeah, they are the most dangerous tool you can use. But I learnt on the railway, and I was felling some massive trees, and I really, really enjoyed it. Why? I don't know.
It's the crash.
And I think that's what it was. I think that's how I started. Because I said to somebody, I says, I could do this for a living. And they poo-pooed the idea. I says, no, you ain't going to be able to do that. Not on a push bike. I'll prove them wrong.
So they poo-pooed you. Yeah. Was that a loved one or a friend? Or
it was just an acquaintance at the railway.
And you just thought, I'll prove you wrong.
No, I never thought I'd ever do it for real.
Yeah.
But I was building planters, and my depression was really, really taking on. I thought, I've got to do something.
You haven't got idle hands, have you? This is what I was saying.
No, I've always tried to do something.
You've always been a doer.
I mean, when I lived at me aunt's for about two, maybe 3 years, I built a rockery in the back garden. I mean, if people know Walsall, Coalpool, that's where it was. Rough area. They never bother with the gardens. But I dug this garden over, and I built a rockery like Tamworth Castle Grounds rockery, all the different layers and whatever. And I really enjoyed that. But it was something that I wanted to do. I didn't have to do it. And I think that's the difference. If I want to do something, I will do it. But if I have to do it, that's when I don't like it.
Do you remember your first paid job? As in, you go there, you do the work, the customer gives you the money. So it's that. Do you remember that first experience?
Well, that would be the crazy woman.
Yes, I thought it was going to be the crazy
woman.
But we're not going to poo-poo her for her problems. But she did give you the leg
Oh
up.
yeah. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here now.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And I've always
And in many ways, it's a life lesson. Like I always focus on.
Yeah.
It's not the accident to the problem or what's happened. It's how you deal with it after. You could have gone back, cried yourself to sleep, thrown all your tools away. She would have won, you know, and you could have given up. But instead, you went on to flourish.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't remember the first payday though. But I remember I was earning something like 50 quid a day, 3 days a week. That was all.
But you remember that first, whether you remember it or not, it's that, you know, when it's in your head. I remember the first job I did where I grafted. I was on my own. It was all for me, as in I wasn't working for somebody. It wasn't a sideline.
Yeah.
I needed that money, and that customer gave me that money. And I remember thinking, blooming out, I've turned a bit of my time and a bit of my, you know, brain power, willpower, whatever, tools, and it gave me a usable thing. And I think that's such an important thing for people.
I think, to be honest, my focus was, because I was still suffering with my mental health, I think the one thing that I was focused on was not being ill in anybody's garden.
Yeah.
So I didn't really remember anything to do with money. I just tried not to be ill.
Yeah, you just getting through it, weren't you?
Just trying to get through it all. I enjoyed the job, but I was just trying to get through it without feeling ill or anything like that. It was always horrible going to a new customer. I didn't know. It's not so bad now.
You see, I get that, you know.
But it was, you know, it was nerve-wracking going to somebody I never knew.
You'll go to a new job and you've got to weigh them up. You've got to, you know, weigh the property up because you want to do it in the most efficient manner. It's all right if it's just a lawn at the back, a lawn at the front, but if there's a little bit of complexity and getting your kit, I think we all worry about things. I do, but do you think the gardening has helped your mental health?
Oh, definitely.
Over time?
Yeah, because I mean, I spoke about this on my other vlog channel where, you know, for the last, say, 3 years, it's probably the first time where in my whole life, I'm 55 now, where I've not really thought about suicide, and I've actually thought, I don't want to die.
See, I've followed you for, it's got to be, how long have you had your new van?
Oh, 6 years. 6 years.
When did you have the problem with the ECU?
Oh, blimey.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I think it was either during COVID or it was. I think it was during because they had the problems getting it, didn't they?
It was around about COVID time because they couldn't get the ECU chip.
What, 3-4 years, you reckon?
Yeah.
So I've noticed a growth in you where it's like you can't say you weren't confident to begin with, but I see yourself now where I think if you had a problem, you deal with it a lot better, a lot more easier, and it's like as if you've grown more as a person. Which do you put that down to the gardening or mixing with more people or working with Sam, or do you just think it's cumulative?
I think it's Sam and gardening, to be honest. It's having a purpose, you know what I mean? It's like Sam gave me the reason to have a purpose. This is what I said the other day on my vlog. You know, meeting Sam and then, you know, having a reason to get the job, having a reason to get the purpose, because otherwise if Sam weren't with me, then why would I bother, you know? And that's what it is.
But you are very purpose driven, aren't you?
Yeah. It's everything's got to
driving,
have a purpose.
That was your first one.
Yeah.
Making your business success, car, now you're looking for a property.
Yeah, each year I try and set myself a goal.
It's good though, because in a way, you probably won't mind me saying this, but when you first started, you said it yourself, you wouldn't have thought you were capable of any of this.
I know.
But it makes you think soon or 10 years from now.
What's possible?
Yeah. Where will you be? What will your next goal be?
I mean, as I say, I'm 55 years old now, and if anybody's watching this or listening to this and they're sort of like a young chap and they're thinking, I can't do this, then I turn around to them and say, I wish I could convince someone that it is possible to do literally pretty much anything if you really, really want it. But I think
as long as you're a realist.
I was going to say
I won't be Mo Farah.
No,
not just in looks. Running performance.
You just got to put it as in real terms. I want a house, but I know right now I can't afford a house. But buying our flat that we have is feasible.
Yeah.
And that's how you progress forward. I want a car. I didn't think I'd ever have a car, but I needed to learn how to drive.
Yeah.
That's feasible. So let's get the lesson first.
It's like, how do you eat an elephant? It's a bite at a time, isn't it? It's, for me, I won't be very fat.
You'd have to mention an elephant, wouldn't you? Food.
Well, you know.
I have a problem with food. He doesn't. He loves food.
Yeah, we're known for eating elephants in this country. I'm just going to grab some elephant steak. But, you know, it's like with me and Mo Farah. You know, I know I won't be a pro runner, but if I trained every day, I'd be thinner, I'd be healthier, you know, and I think a purpose is good for everybody.
Well,
I
put
really
that
do.
into perspective, though. If you wanted to really go to that point, to that far, you think to yourself, this is not going to happen. Look at me, I'm not fit, you know. But what you do is you say to yourself,
you'd get thin.
Well, that's what
you'd get healthy.
What you would do is you would lose a bit of weight, you put your muscle
push
on,
everything
train,
towards it.
and then you think, okay, I can run a bit faster today.
But it's your purpose. Everyone needs
Perfect
purpose.
example is what Will Smith said. He says, how do you build a wall? And he says, you don't look at it and think, I want to build a whole wall. What you do is you lay the perfect brick. Each time you lay that perfect brick, and then eventually you have a wall. And that's basically how I do things. I think realistically, I can't build that wall, but I can lay this brick perfectly. And I think that's a perfect lesson. I remember watching that years ago, and yeah, that's a perfect way of putting it.
So, on that sort of similar vein, if you could change anything about this industry, so the gardening industry as a whole, what would you change?
Well, I don't think there's anything you can change. I guess it would be customer attitude towards. But then it's not just gardening, though, is it? It's any self-employed sole trader, you know. So if
the whole world of gardening was seen, or the whole sort of, because I know what you mean. I personally think that anybody who's I think there's a large portion of the population, don't know how large it is, whether it's 20, 30, 40, but I think a lot of people see us people as self-employed as very rich, very money orientated, you know, very not slapdash, but we're just here to make a quick buck. And we are, I think, especially in the gardening world, I find, I'm not saying it's because of other people just buying mowers and printing off business cards.
I think that's
and
how they see
calling
it.
The gardeners.
I do think a lot of customers see it as we are just here just to earn a bit of beer money.
How often do you get asked, is this your full-time job? Yes, it's not just me then.
No, you work through winter.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
It's the fact that they say, so, and it's like they ask secretly, like nudge, like, so is this your full-time job?
Well, I had a customer who I used to cut the lawn, and because I stopped cutting their lawns, and then they never, at the end of the year, and they never asked me to do any other work, because I did that, they says, I'm gonna say no to you this year because I need a full-time gardener.
I had a woman.
I shook my head.
Yeah, I had a lady 2 or 3 years ago, and she kept cutting the visits back, cancelling, and it went from fortnightly to every 3, 4, 5, 6. Then she said to me, you know, money's tight, could you come every 6 weeks? Me being me, I said, yeah, that's no problem. She rolled me up and said, it's just not working, all my plants have died, I need a gardener to come regular. No one. I says, well, you moved me to every 6 weeks. She says, well, I need somebody to water my plants, and it's all gone to rack and ruin. I'm like, I love my job, but I'll always say this, customers are the hardest part about this job.
Oh, definitely.
The weather doesn't bother me, the rain doesn't bother me, the fact that I've got to give money to the government doesn't bother me, tools, it just doesn't bother me. The thing that bothers me is the unappreciative people, the people that think, you know, I've had it before. I remember he was an elderly gent in OAP. He got very standoffish with me because he thought I was ripping him off. And he actually said, is this because I'm an OAP?
But I don't think. I mean,
it was like a £25 cut.
I think that really is the only thing you could change is people's attitude towards the business itself, because and to know that it is actually a business. But because how can you change the gardening industry?
I think so. How could you change?
How would you change it?
How would you change people's opinions? How I would change it is, I think, as a gardening brand, whether you are a bloke just working out the back of a van or you are a skilled craftsman, it's to charge your worth. I think what knackers it for us is, yes, I don't think a bloke working out the back of his car who's just trying to rip people off should charge a proper gardener's rate. But at the same time, what's worse, the previous bloke who does a crap job charges £30 to cut the lawn, or he's charging £10, and then us as a professional comes round and says, right, that's going to be £30. At least that customer can go, oh, well, we'll give you a go. Yeah, you're the same price, we'll give you a go. Or it's within my budget because that's what I've been paying the previous bloke. Or I'll take a gamble and pay double as much on you when she's had that bad experience. So I think people need to charge. And I know that's what every YouTuber says, charge your worth. You know, I know everyone says that, but it is true. It really is. And I think if people are undercutting to get work, and I see it in my area where people, I've noticed a thing.
I've done it. You know, not undercut. I've charged cheap because I thought I was just starting. I think we've all done it really. Cheap.
I've charged cheap because I thought the customer couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
I've looked. This isn't.
And you've wanted work.
Yeah, it's not so much. Yeah, that's two things, isn't it? Where you need the work and you'll take the hit because you can justify it in your head.
Yeah.
But then there has been times where I thought, I don't think she'll pay that, so I'll charge her this instead. When in reality, that's not up to me to worry about. You give that customer that price.
I think it takes a long time for you to get comfortable in your business to be able to say, right, this is how much I want. I've done it recently. I looked at somebody's lawns and I said, right, that's going to be 150 quid.
For the cut?
For the cut.
Was it like a...
Yeah, it was a big lawn.
Yeah.
Probably about the size of the farm I used to do for 60 quid. And I thought, he ain't going to pay that. And he weren't going to pay that. But if they want me to do that, then that's how much it's going to cost them. And the thing is, I think you've got to be comfortable enough to be able to do that. And that's not me ripping them off. It's just because, one, I don't have a ride-on mower. I'm going to be using a push mower for pretty much a full day almost. Yeah. I'm not doing it for anything less than that. Get somebody with a ride-on. But then I think to myself, how much is somebody with a ride-on going to charge? Because they've got to spend, what, 4, 5, 6 grand on a ride-on mower. Why would they be doing it for anything less than that?
I don't know. I've never ever priced. I've heard people where they've said it's not proportional. So if somebody takes all day with a push mower, and then somebody on a ride on for 2 hours would charge less. I don't know. I've never ever come to face to price a job up. To me though, if I was mowing somebody's lawn. And that took me 3 hours and I upgraded to a ride on, it took me an hour, would I spend X amount on a ride on and then say to that customer,
exactly,
look, it's going to be, I'll tell you what, I'm only here an hour, so we'll third the price or half the price.
Exactly. Why would you do that? Why would you want to buy a
You might as a sweetener, because that customer might think, hey, he's only here an hour now, but at the same time, you could go back to using your push mower and it's still the same.
Yeah.
So, as I say, I've no experience when it comes to pricing stuff like that.
See, that's why I charge the way I do. Is that when I worked out the costing of that, because I did do a farm, and I was using their ride-on mower at first. It packed up. There was a problem with it. I think there was a puncture, and I had to use my push mower.
Yeah.
And then I realised I've underquoted this job because not a push mower, self-propelled. So I was using a self-propelled mower. I was struggling with it for a start. And and I think that's the truth of it is, why, if I'm using a push mower, a walk behind mower, if I'm using one of those, why would I want to spend all that money on a ride-on mower to earn less money?
That's it. Or, as I said, thinking business way, if you could get all those lawns that you took in an hour Sorry, took you 3 hours, and you can ram them all into a day, and you can do a load in a day instead. It frees up time. As I said, I've got no real experience quoting work like that. What about mowers? You had that still mower last year. How is that? I've not heard any updates. Is it like the ginger stepchild? Is it in the shed, or
yeah? It's
took it down.
It's a white elephant.
So you took just for sort of perspective here. You bought the latest mower from Still, one of their new 5 series, is it? Or 4 series?
It's a 5 series.
It's a 20, is it 20 inch?
Hang on, let me think.
I think it's 20 inch, isn't it? Or was it 21?
It's a 20 inch. 20 inch mower.
I'm sure it's 20 inch for some reason. It's a new freeway one where it side discharges, mulches, and it's got the mulch switch, hasn't it?
I keep thinking 453. I can't remember the.
It's a variant of that. It's a new one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you took it down for repair, didn't you? Did he drop it back off?
Yeah, he brought it back. He brought it back in a low loader. He had a massive low loader in his car.
Just one strap over it.
One strap over it. I laughed, but yeah, they brought it back. No different.
No. Still, I'm surprised he just didn't up the revs and just say that's
it's basically a push assist mower. It's supposed to be a self-propelled mower, but on that lawn, I'm having to push it.
It's just got no push at all.
It's got no power whatsoever.
So we'll paint a picture with words right now. That's a flat lawn.
It's a flat lawn.
Okay, it's got a slight gradient, as in if you put a football at the top, it might roll down.
Possibly.
But not much, really. I love me some Still stuff, and I don't feel bad, but I remember saying to you before you bought it, oh, look at these new mowers from Still. They've got all these features on it.
Yeah, it's a 453, that's the one it is, because I've got the 448. And
I've
had the 448 for years, because I've had the 448 when they were Viking. So I've had 2 of these mowers, and they are fantastic.
Yeah,
I would push that up a steep hill.
Yeah, mate, they're bulletproof. They're
brilliant
bulletproof.
mowers. So I thought, I'll go for the 453 side discharge. It'll be ideal on long lawns and all this lot. But honestly, it's the worst pile of rubbish I've ever bought.
Yeah, I do feel for you, mate.
And
as I said.
I watched another channel recently, and he was on about don't make these mistakes about buying stuff and tools and stuff like that. We all do it.
Oh, mate, yeah.
It's like, even experienced gardeners like myself, you think, right, I need to buy this mower because you've bought one in the past. It's been brilliant. It's not always the way.
We all do. We've all got stuff we think we shouldn't have bought. So what's the future for it? Are you just going to keep eating? Is this just going to be the mower for here now?
Probably, yeah. I don't even think it's suitable for here. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I just can't understand it. It's weird. Like, I'm not a big...
To be honest, if I had the time, I'd write to Still, but I just can't. I haven't got the time.
I do love Still stuff. I really do, but
I can't fault the 448.
I've not seen any press about, like, you don't see many reviews on YouTube about them. And when I went to Grounds Fest, they weren't even there, that range of mowers. And I did actually say to the chap on the thing, I said, because I'd seen other people dissatisfied with them online. But, you know, you've got to err a sort of side of truth, you know, caution to that. But I did say to one of the things, I says, look, it's a flagship mower, it's a new range, why aren't they here? And he sort of looked at me a bit perplexed, so I put him on the spot. I said, look, is it because there's problems with it? And it was oh no, we just couldn't fit it in the van and all this. So, okay then. I don't know, I'll take my tinfoil hat off now.
I don't think there's enough power in the engine to propel that mower.
Well, I'm sure they've got the same engine, but the same one for every variant.
Yeah, they have.
So it looks the same. There's no power difference when you look at the little chart. That's another thing. When I looked at another battery mower, I looked at the Crest ones, and I said to the lady, I says, what motor is in this 17? And she said, it's such and such range, such and such wattage, and it's the same mower in the bigger one. I'm like, well, I can understand a bigger blade and with more moment of inertia and all that sort of stuff, but even then, you'd assume a bigger mower, a bigger engine, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because I mean, you got to think 448 is a 19-inch, and the 453 is a 20-inch. And the 453's got the same engine.
I must, like I say, I do love me some Still stuff. You're on the Still full battery range now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Is there any battery gear? Did you say you got buy a new pole saw?
Yeah.
Is it just a combi attachment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not getting the full.
No.
extendable?
There's a little screw on there, and to tighten it up, you've got to go anti-clockwise.
Yeah.
It just keeps
it's a little
coming.
worm gear, I think, on it.
It just keeps, what it is, I found out that it just takes a sprocket out that drives it.
Okay.
So it comes loose, and then the chain won't go round.
Oh,
So
bloody hell.
I might get some nut lock.
Oh, yeah,
and
some
see if it
Loctite,
helps.
yeah.
See if it helps. It just keeps coming undone. But yeah, see again, I watched the same video about like somebody was saying you got to buy battery gear and stuff like that, and it's all about what is suitable for you. And the thing is, I can't use petrol anymore because I've got a rotator cuff problem. I'm getting old. I can't pull them cords, and I've got to be honest and say the whole reason why I went to battery in the first place is because I was sick of pulling that thing, going up a set of ladders, tripod ladders.
I think, and this is going to be,
and then cutting out.
This is going to be a statement. I think that using cordless gear is a cheat code to an easier life as a gardener.
Oh, definitely.
Because you've got, like you said, how many times have you started it? You've got, because it's normally when you've got the other extension on the combi with a hedge trimmer.
Yeah.
So you're lifting this great big piece of scaffolding up a ladder.
Yeah.
You get that hot box just under your shoulder, don't you?
Yeah,
And then you blip it and it goes, and it's the most, and it's the most frustrating thing.
And the thing is, especially when you've climbed up 16 rungs of ladders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're at the top of a 16-foot set of ladders, and then it cuts out on you. Even
did you get rid of them big ladders?
Yeah, I got 200 quid up for them.
It's something, mate.
But yeah, I mean, they're not cheap.
No, it's just because they weren't extendable leg.
No.
It's just.
I mean, I love my 10-foot ones, and a lot of people say you can fall off them, but I don't think.
I've only had one time that I've felt, and it was because I didn't have a chain all the way out. So as I got to the top, the front leg slipped.
Yeah.
And it jerked, and the chain caught it, caught it. But I think I still have to change my panties. You know, I'm moving out.
I have got a set of usual sort of step ladders and stuff like that, but unless they've got really wide footprint, I don't like them.
I'll be honest with you, I'm going to get, have you seen the little dinky ones you do? They're like 6-footers.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a set of them, you know, just because sometimes I only need that extra couple of foot or something.
Yeah.
So, we've put our hats on, or you have, on what you'd change about this industry. And we've sort of talked a little bit, or we might have gone close to it. But what is your biggest bugbear about this industry? So it doesn't have to be customers, it doesn't have to be late payers. Is there something out there that just winds you up?
Rain.
One of mine is...
It's just, I won't say the weather, it's just rain, because you get wet, that's it, then you're wet for the rest of the day. You can't work in it, and yet you will get customers say, "Are you cutting me lawn?" You make such a mess.
I don't mind working in the rain per se. I often find the most frustrating things is packing up in the rain, because you know your kit's wet and you're slipping and sliding in your van.
Yeah.
Oh, it's next level.
It's just everything gets wet, doesn't it? And you put your tools away, they get rusty. It's just
you got mould on your ply, and the grass clippings just never brush off right.
Because the seal around the back of my door is gone.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I've got to get a new seal on my door.
Blooming hell.
It gets, because of the weather. I do a lot of because like my customer asks, "Do you work through winter?" Yes. I'm doing a lot of garden tidies and stuff like that, and all that dirt just collects on the seal, and that's why I hate working this time of year. I find it really gloomy. But
I found a mouse nest in the back of my van.
Okay.
I had this big, in the corner of my van, there was this big wad of grass, and I could see how it could accumulate there, but when I sort of fished it all out, it was grass, and then it was like some other material in the middle of it. So I presume over time they must have made a little nest there. So I fished that out. But I had one of the nuts, you know what holds your roof rack on?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're threaded all the way through on your vans. I got a Vivara, and I noticed water was always in the back of the van. And what had happened, the nut had backed off,
and
just come out. And it'd been, obviously, his water was going down that little channel. It was dripping into the van. So just check that out.
Yeah. So, I mean, apart from customers, because customers are the biggest bugbear, but honestly, rain.
Do you find when customers are like, you know, when they get on their high horse and they have the problems, do you find that it's actually merited? Because I find 9 times out of 10 they're sort of making a deal out of something that's actually not really the biggest problem to begin with in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
it's like you're late.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, have I kept you?
I think the craziest one was I turned up at a job. He knew I was turning up. 9 o'clock, I knocked the door, weren't too early. Stood there in just his pants. What do you want?
Yeah. I don't think there's any excuse for that nowadays.
The gardener. Oh, gotta put some trousers on.
Yeah.
He was all right once he had his trousers on.
Oh,
I think what it was is when he's walking round, just his pants, he's miserable. Well, as soon as he gets his trousers on, he's fine.
I just think it's what people are used to in their own space. It's like, I talked about in a podcast a bit back where there was a bloke, he knew I was working in the back garden. He said to me just as I got there, I'm nipping in the shower. I was there for about an hour. I thought, bloody hell, he hadn't come out lately. You know, as he fallen over. Walked to the side of the house, I heard the back door go, walked around, he was there bollock naked, 5-card trick out, he's putting the towels on the washing line. But it must be routine. But
yeah, I think sometimes it is. I mean, I had one customer where he was wearing a dressing gown, and I didn't think anything of it until he turned round and he had his arse
lovely,
completely stark naked out the back, and then in the end he wasn't wearing anything.
Oh, lovely. I do find in this industry you do see some.
Yeah.
I think it's because you're round the back of people. You know, you're in people's personal space, even though you're not in the house. You're in the back of their house, and they let the guard down. But I think as well, I think some people are in their own world, and they might not think that, you know, the gardener will notice or worry or care. But we see some stuff, don't we, in this industry? We do. But I think that's going to get this episode nearly wrapped up. So you mentioned you do YouTube. What's your YouTube channel?
I'm the Kilted Gardener. It's just called The Kilted Gardener.
Do you want to plug the vlog channel or leave that as
VM4291?
Okay.
And if you don't know what that means,
I won't spoil it.
Okay, it's VM4291, and it's Victor Meldrew, and that's his phone number. Because all I do on that channel is moan.
Do you think that helps?
Oh God, yeah. It's how I started my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I started because of live vlogs. I didn't do videos and stuff like that.
I think so. I think as blokes we could keep things tied up and not say anything. But one of the things that I found with me, I'll never ever claim to have mental health problems. I don't think I have. But I must admit, if I have got a problem or I'm stressed, sitting down and talking to my phone, just getting it out there in the open air, it helps a lot, doesn't it?
And I think as well with YouTube is the fact that I don't feel like I've got somebody sitting there and thinking, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And judging me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I put it out there. I know some sad idiot is listening to it in his van while eating disgustingly smelly food. But, you know, no, but...
with lino, it's not going properly. You keep staring at.
But no, I think that's it. It's like, I know there's going to be one person who listens to it, but I don't feel judged. I have done the doctor thing. It didn't work for me, but YouTube did.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's good, mate. I say this, I don't comment very often because you do your videos before I work. So I start work at 9 o'clock. You do them on the way. So I always miss the lives. But I always listen to them. And it's like I said for this podcast, I want it to be hopefully informative. But at the very least, I'm more than happy for it just to take people away from their world for 20 minutes, half an hour. So thanks for coming on. I will put a link into your YouTube channel so people can come and see the inner workings of your mind, matey. But thanks for coming on, guys. And thank you for another podcast. See you in the next episode.